At InDigital, we know the public safety professionals hold themselves to a high standard. In fact, standard doesn't do it justice. In over 25 years working alongside you, carrying millions of calls over our IP networks, your dedication has inspired us. That's why our ESI net goes beyond industry standards, not only I3 compliant, but designed to adapt to future development for a network you can count on when it matters most. Learn more at indigital.net.
If Within the Trenches has ever taught you something, open your eyes to what it is like to be a 911 dispatcher, or has inspired you to become one, then help support us and join our Patreon. Get exclusive bonus content, one-of-a-kind swag, discounts on merchandise, ad-free early access to new episodes, and much more. To join, please visit patreon.com/WTT podcast. And if you're an industry partner, we have something for you as well. And now, for the show.
This is Jordan, and you're listening to the Code 7 Podcast Network.
Warning. This episode contains the 3 A's of podcasting: adult content, adult language, and awesomeness. You've been warned.
Welcome to Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them.
Hey, what's going on? This is Ricardo with the Code 7 Podcast Network, and this is going to be Within the Trenches, true stories from the 911 dispatchers who live them. This episode is sponsored by InDigital, a leader in next-gen core services, and a big shout-out, as always, to subscribers of the podcast, whether you are on Patreon, Facebook, or Circle. Thank you all for everything. I wouldn't be able to do what I do if it wasn't for all of you, but especially all of you who are watching, listening, supporting, and sharing. Thank you very, very much. This week, I am recording a whole set of episodes at Cobb County 911 in Georgia. I'm also here for a couple days out of the 3 teaching a communications course that I've been doing for the past, about a year and a half now. I've been doing this, and it has been excellent. And my guest today, we were just talking a little bit ago and already laughing and joking, a returning guest, my good friend Theresa, who's a CTO here at Cobb County 911 out of Georgia. Welcome back, my friend.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I kind of like my new title, though, that we talked about, PETA.
Yeah, PETA.
PETA, pain in the ass.
Pain in the ass.
Love it.
Oh, so you're actually, you were able to come off the floor for a moment to record this episode with me. How long have you been here? Like just like today? Like when did you come in?
7 years today.
Okay, well, 7 years today. You've been here total.
Today?
Yeah, for the shift today.
So I pulled in the parking lot like 5:15 a.m.
Oh my Lord.
So, and then we come in, usually I'll get out of the car at like 5:36 because squad meeting's at 5:45.
So you guys have a squad meeting beforehand?
Yeah.
Ah.
Yeah.
So
I don't know if we really listen to what they say because, the coffee cups are still full. We haven't quite energized yet, but we are in there.
It's one of those, like the coffee cups that has the lines.
Yeah.
Like the further you go down, you finally get to the part.
It's supposed to be like the water thing, like drink this by 11,
Yes.
drink this by 10. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. But the coffee piece is, all right, we can talk now. Like I'm in to win it.
Right. I don't even know why they do it, honestly. I was like, nobody is listening. And it's always like recapping emails that we've already had, like we don't know how to read. By the way, so-and-so sent an email and so-and-so. Yes, we know. Yeah, we know.
It's interesting, though, that you guys have that because not all dispatch centers have like a briefing, squad meeting before you go in. Excuse me. Like for myself, when I was still in dispatch, I worked a 4:30 to 4:30, 4:30P rather to 4:30A. And the other supervisor would come in at, the quarter after to get briefed or whichever. But that was it. Like we didn't have, a squad or anything like that to be able to do it. Maybe the bigger centers, right?
Right.
Would do something like that. But so then once you're done, you just file out and go to your console or whichever.
We do our lunch picks, our radio picks. I mean, the important stuff is like, if we had, like the other night, we had an officer got hit, while he was doing a traffic stop. Stuff like that in case we get like calls, if there were shootings or anything, like if parents, family, friends, witnesses call in, we kind of have a heads up.
Right.
Or, because not everybody listens to the scanner when they get home. Surprise, surprise. Like when I leave, that's it. I don't care what happens here. Tell me in the morning when I show up.
Right, of course, yeah.
And then there's others who are like texting me, did you hear? Nope, I heard nothing, and I'm not going to read your text. I'm not doing it.
There are some masochists out there who are completely listening all the time, right?
All the time.
Yeah, I remember being in dispatch, and someone would say, hey, have you downloaded such and such scanner app? I'm like, no, why?
I have no desire.
Like, unless it's the Santa thing, that some places do.
Yeah, we do it too. Yeah,
unless it's that, then I'm not. I don't have the scanner up, and sometimes the scanner thing doesn't even work.
Right.
There was one time that when I did download it, I was like, let's just see what's going on. And this was when I was out of dispatch, and I was listening, and it said Allegan, whatever Radio 1 or something like that. It wasn't even Allegan in Michigan. It wasn't even Allegan, or I think in New York or something. There's Allegheny or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't even that. I don't even know where it was. I couldn't even tell where exactly it was. But I thought, okay, this doesn't really work.
See, our officers are all reindeer, so we call them by their reindeer name.
Nice.
So, we have the North Pole, which is their headquarters. And then you've got, Santa, who's the big guy. So it's pretty cool. And then you've always got that one squirt who's like their first year doing Christmas in Marietta.
Yeah.
And you keep calling like Blitzen. Blitzen. Blitzen.
It's like Bueller.
Right. Literally. And finally somebody like messages, either messages him or goes on private like, dude, that's you.
That's pretty funny right there. So in Indiana, South Indiana, there's a city there. I believe it's called Santa Claus.
We have one
city
here in
of Santa
Georgia
Claus.
too.
Oh, for real?
Mm-hmm.
So maybe you guys have something similar. So their fire department, when we got out there at the fire department to visit some of the folks that were there, they have a huge statue of Santa Claus dressed as a firefighter, and all of the fire engines, they have the names on there of like Blitzen and all the names that are
I'm pretty sure it's not the one here because literally it has 8 roads and it has no fire department. The county next to it dispatches for them.
Oh,
so
okay.
it's like, but people go there to mail, like me, go there to mail their Christmas cards. So it says it came from Santa Claus.
That is cool.
It's a very small town. The day that I went there, the news was there. So they interviewed me and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to bullshit my way through this. Like I'm going to hype it up. But yeah, it was pretty cool. Like they have Noel Lane and Santa, whatever. Like it's like a grid.
Yeah.
And very, very small. Like you can, even me at my bigness, I can run it. Probably die then, but I can run it.
So it's probably been a few years since you were on. So for those who are listening and everything, maybe just a quick recap. Like you mentioned, it's been 7 years. Yeah. So how did you get into public safety? And out of the 7 years, maybe a call that's been just kind of memorable.
So I was a Girl Scout leader for 18 years. And two of my girls, sisters, their dad was IA here. And I'm 6 foot tall, big girl, tattooed, loud as hell. He's like, with a mouth like yours, you would make a good dispatcher.
What a way to put it.
Right. And I'm thinking, I don't know if I should be offended or sure. And then
I'm proud. Like, thank you.
I didn't know where to go with that. And so I had applied, and I want to say that they were still under PD at that point. And because I had gotten in trouble, like at that point, it was like 14 years prior.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember what year because, I'm not a repeat offender. So I was like, I don't know when that happened, but it was either this year or this year. But I know it was Super Bowl Sunday because I went in the first quarter and I was released after halftime. I beat the charges, whatever. But because they said I lied because I didn't I said, no, I didn't lie. I flat out told you. I don't remember. Like it was in archives. I had to go to the courthouse, whatever. They had to pull it out of archives. It was that long.
Oh, wow.
And I said it was either this year or this year. And it was one of the years. I just didn't remember when because I didn't want to dwell on a moment in time that I'm not proud of.
Why do you got to bring up old stuff?
Well, and I was working and some guy, I was a bartender. Let's just leave it at that.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, it took 11 months and finally here I am. And 7 years later, I'm CTO and tactical dispatch, and I do all the education stuff with Turbo. We hit every library and we maxed out their capacity in the rooms. We had over 400 people at one of the libraries. It was like a concert, and I don't even sing.
Wow.
And all the libraries were like, we have never gotten this. It wasn't because of 911, obviously, but, we don't have anything cool to talk about. Like, we don't have a cool dog. We don't have cool uniforms. We have this piece right here on our face that opens and closes. It's not attractive. And most of the stuff that comes out of our mouths is not attractive, and then you have to appeal to kids. So, so we talk about it. I read my book, the Can I Call 911 Now? Teaches kids when and when not to, more so when not to call 911. And then the characters in the book are the reptiles. Turbo the tortoise is the main one. And then they have a reptile show. I know they're there for the reptile show, but you know what? If I can reach some parents and tell them, hey, don't call because of any of this dumb stuff in the book. People have requested adult versions of the book. Telling them we're not coming for a snake in your yard.
Right. Well, and I think that's a very important part. So for those who are watching and listening right now, that's a big part of the community piece, the community outreach, and doing it in a unique way to be able to really reel people in. To focus on some of those things. It's important for people to know, especially kids, when they're calling 911, but how to do it, why to do it, when to do it, those main pieces, but also to do it in a way that just really captures their attention, their imagination, all of it. And if people are asking you for an adult version as well,
right.
you're definitely hitting all the points that are there.
Right. The only thing is like, it's hard to do the adult version because, things change from county to county.
Right.
And, but I mean, overall, it is the same, but you don't want to put somebody in a position, well, this book says, yeah, but that's in Cobb County. So,
right.
It is what it is.
In your opinion, how important do you think it is for not just the community outreach piece, the way you guys are doing it uniquely, or the way you do it is rather, but to have that as emotional support as well? Like, do you bring the reptiles in?
Yes.
For like dispatch and
oh no, they're not allowed on the floor. We talked about it. Legal's having an issue with certain things. So if I'm here as a vendor, like we did our 3rd year of Kids 911 Expo.
Yeah.
So that's my brainchild. So we just had our 3rd one, is the biggest one yet. So if we're there as a vendor, people come looking for us every year. So it is a want by the community. I mean, I'm known throughout not just our community, but surrounding counties. Other centers have had me come in. They've got emotional bearded dragon. I don't remember what county that is. It's like you go past the last peanut stand in Georgia, and it's like 20 miles past that peanut stand. There's nothing out there.
I was going to say, if you
the only radio stations was like Jesus singing to me. It was nothing but like holy songs. But anyway, so I've people look for us.
Yeah.
Our police, the police chief has held my Burmese python, and all the guys below them come and they come and support every year. I've got a huge amount. I'm called that reptilian dispatcher. You're the one with the snakes. Yeah. I have more than snakes, but yeah.
Theresa, the reptilian dispatcher.
And we're even the holding facility for our animal control. So we have a contract with our animal control. So we take in all the eviction left behinds and
you said that there's a center that has a bearded dragon.
Yes. What? I helped them set it up. Yeah.
I see. That's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Like what you're doing, what they're doing, there's a lot of other folks that are, they have more of the unique emotional support animals, but also using those as community outreach as well. Mm-hmm. It's different. Not that there's anything wrong with dogs. I love dogs.
Right, but everybody's got a dog.
Right. Yeah, everyone's got a dog and stuff, but when you have things more like this, it makes it that much more interesting. And if they get to also handle them and everything else, you have other stories that go along with it.
Yeah. But it also helps cut down on the baloney calls, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a snake in my yard. He doesn't pay rent. I swear I had somebody tell me that. He does not pay rent. He's not allowed to be in my yard. Sir, that's not how this rolls. Educating them. From our shows, when we talk about 911, and then all of a sudden, we're into the reptile side.
Yeah.
People are asking reptile related questions, and we get a ton of calls here. And sometimes they're like, Theresa online, whatever, I don't know what to tell her. A lot of people, just take snakes in general. The fear is not because they're afraid. They're afraid of the unknown, right? So you're in the dark. You have a fear of the dark because you can't see what's in the room. You flip on the light, all of a sudden you're okay, right? Because you can see what's in the room. The fear of a snake is because you don't know what to expect. That light and with the fear of the dark is the same as just educating them on what to expect. Once they learn what the venomous are in Georgia, once they learn what the signs are, we learn somewhere that a dog growling, a dog tucking its tail, a dog hunching down, that's a dog that doesn't want to be pet.
Mm-hmm.
Well, what if we learned what a snake does right alongside of it? We would not be as fearful of the snakes. I don't expect them to go and cuddle snakes. Actually, I tell them to stay away from them, because they only bite in two reasons. They're hungry and they're scared. And so most of the time it's because they're scared. If we educate them, at least I can be okay with you being able to walk to your car without screaming bloody murder like a little girl because there's a snake sunning 20 feet away from you. So, but yeah. And then, of course, laying it in there with 911 because we get so many calls that are just not 911. It's not.
I feel like exactly what you were saying in preparing folks when they're asking questions about reptiles, it can run parallel with 911 as well. Just the way you were explaining it there, it's the same way with telling people about like when, why, and how to call 911. Yeah. And maybe even, telling them about the questions. There's going to be these questions. If we're asking questions, that does not delay help from getting to you.
Right.
Like, there's already someone who's being sent,
right,
but we got to ask all these questions.
Yeah.
So I feel like at the same time, like you're running double time.
Yeah.
With not just talking about the animals, but also 911 as well. And it seems like there's been a lot of success with it.
Yeah. I've had success. It's a double-edged sword. People find out about me and more people want to surrender their animals. But then other people find out about me and they want me at their events. And that's how we fund everything, is through the events. So to me, the more people that learn about 911 and kids especially, I don't want them to be scared to call 911.
Yeah.
And now I'm even doing old folks. Senior citizens. Senior citizens, which is more of like my rated R show.
Oh.
So we can throw in the adult jokes.
Yeah.
Like we did one a couple of weeks ago, and I overheard them telling her, oh my God, we got to have her. She's so funny. And I'm not even like intentionally like a stand-up comedian. It's like I can throw out the jokes about 911 and about reptiles that are where you can relate it to each other, when you talk about cohabbing versus adults, like, when you have two reptiles in a tank, it'd be like being locked up with one of your exes. And you're talking about elderly, so the majority of them have an ex-wife or ex-husband. Imagine being locked up in your closet with one of your former wives or husbands in a closet for the rest of your life. And I'm like, I don't know about you, but my ex would be coming out in a body bag. And that's the same way with a reptile. You can't get away from each other. Somebody's going to end up dead.
Right.
So it's just, and then sexing animals and all that stuff. So it turns into more of like a comedy show versus, with kids, you have to kind of, remember Pixar movies where they put in like the jokes that are like adults get it, but the kids are like, over the head. Kind of those kind of jokes. So
see, and that's what I love as well, because you're mixing the education piece with humor, but you're also catering it to whichever audience that you're at. And I think that's really important, because then at the end of the day, when people leave from there, they end up realizing how much they learned when they didn't know that it was, or didn't even realize that it was
Right.
like an educational piece.
Right.
They were so in tuned with the way you had put it together that, oh, I actually did learn something.
Yeah. I mean, even in talking to them about 911, because I do the same thing. I want to do a senior citizen version of my book
Uh-huh.
because I'm tired of elderly not thinking that we need to fuss over them. It drives me nuts. Like, I have to hinder my mama voice. Like,
Yeah.
what do you mean you've been on the floor for 3 days? You know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and
No,
here I am
exactly.
talking to somebody who's mad because her sister took her charger that came in the mail from Amazon. You know what I'm saying? Like, we're going to this baloney call, but your call, you've been on the floor for 3 days. Well, I thought I could muster up the strength to get up off the floor. And I'm like, you just want to not cuss them out, but just fuss them out.
Right.
Like, no. So I kind of use those comparisons when I go talk to them. I give them my experiences of other non-911 calls. Like, that is what I don't want you calling about.
Exactly.
This is what I do want you calling about. So they kind of get it in the end. And then, of course, they get to handle stuff that they wouldn't normally handle.
See, I love that. And I think that's awesome, too, for them to understand that communications piece and that is what you're doing and pushing. Now, on the on the topic of the communication piece and kind of really bridging that gap, you were telling me earlier, and I want to make sure to get to this as well, is you and a coworker, Charlotte, correct?
Mhm.
You two have this class that you're doing.
Yeah.
And so where you were just talking about the communication piece and helping not just children, but adults and the elderly understand that as well. What about that communication piece
In the
from
center.
within the center? Yes. What
Yeah.
is that all about?
So, I mean, you know me more than most of these people that are going to listen to your podcast know me. I'm a very strong force. I was raised in Germany. I'm actually German, so this country bumpkin accent, don't let it fool you. This is all because, like, when I go north, my accent disappears. It's called mirroring. I mirror whoever I'm around,
Right.
and I don't even realize I do it. I didn't even know it was a thing
Yeah.
until somebody's like, "Yeah, that's mirroring." Whatever, call it what you want. But because of my personality, I have a huge heart. I cry, but because I'm loud and, like I said, I'm tall and tattooed, I'm intimidating, and I get that. No matter what I tell them, they always think I'm pissed, and I'm like, no, this is my face. I can't fix my face. Call my mom. It's been like this since day one. I can't
She
do nothing
knows.
about it.
She knows.
Right. I'm not mad. I'm just loud in general. The day that I got wrote up for the one thing I shouldn't have said on the phone, the whole center heard me because I'm loud. They don't want to hear me angry. My kids could tell you what I sound like when I'm angry. I'm not angry. I get frustrated. I think we all do, but I'm not angry.
Yeah.
But my messages would be being read. They were not being perceived the way I intended for them.
Mhm.
Every time I got called in the office, Theresa, we know what you're trying to say, but somebody, it's usually probably just like one person, but because that one person, whatever, don't even get me started. So I found this book. I was at one of the conferences somewhere. I don't know if it was APCO or what, and they had mentioned this book, and just the title of the book caught and I'm not a reader. No. I'm not a reader. And it was called Surrounded by Idiots. The title caught me, but they have it on Audible.
Oh,
So
even better. Yes.
Even better. So basically what it does, you take a test and it breaks your personalities down, because all we hear is we're all type A, we're all type A. Okay, great. But that breaks down into 4 categories by color: red, blue, green, and yellow. And what we basically do in the book, it was a very hard pill to swallow, especially for me. I am red, 1000% red. And you have to learn your color, accept your color 100%, even though sometimes is facing the ugly truth. And then it learns how to understand your color, how you're perceived how you perceive other colors, and then how y'all need to work with each other. So for me, a yellow is a huge trigger. It is a bubbly, bouncing off the wall, the big, happy Thanksgiving parade balloon that's like, hey, I'm here. Good morning.
Right.
Like, I just want to throat punch him every time I walk by, and he doesn't even have to look at me. But understanding that that's just that person, and it helps you once you learn who you are and how other people are. Like, a lot of people on my shift, this is not my shift, I'm here on a different shift, but they were all taking the test, and it kind of, they were learning, and I think we all learned how to better communicate together because we learned what our colors were and how we're perceived and how we perceive others. So we talk about that, and it's crazy because Charlotte is the exact opposite of me, but we're like best friends. We just work, but we have acknowledged who we are. But the hard part is getting supervision on board with understanding that we can't keep catering to the people that are whining because how they read somebody's message, whether it was my message or somebody else's message.
Yeah.
That person needs to kind of understand themselves and why are they reading that message that way. If I haven't done anything to you and I'm literally just stating an observation, one, if you have a guilty conscience, then fix it. Two, understand why are you perceiving this message that way. You have to understand who you are and why you're perceiving that message. We can't keep reading into it. And even in the presentation, we had the same email about a meeting the next day at 11, written by all 4 colors. And the difference, one color has like 20 attachments that they want you to read before the next one. Another one has like a joke that's talking about a picture that they saw on Facebook the day before. And oh my gosh, I forgot to attach the picture. I'm bringing cinnamon buns. I hope you love it. My color would be like, meeting tomorrow at 11. See you then. I don't even type my whole name out. It's like T. And then a whole nother color would be like, all over the place squirrel moments. And I'm like, what is this email even about? But reading that the underlying message is all there, but it's just written by all 4 different personalities. And when people saw that and kind of listened to all the examples of each color, all the reds coming up to me afterward, like, I'm a red. I'm like, it'll be okay. It'll be okay.
Yeah.
But you have to understand what red means and how people perceive you. And most of the time, Reds don't want to be perceived that way. It's just hard for us. We're leaders. We take control. We're Nazis almost. Like, it's hard. So.
Oh, man. So when's the next place? Or where's the next place that
the
you're going to
last
teach
one we
this?
just did was Tina.
Yeah.
And what was that, September? Yeah,
so.
September.
Something like that, yeah.
We were there. And then we did the DC. We did the whole, what's the big one that was in DC?
Navigator.
Navigator. That
Yes.
one was scary. I ain't going to lie. Scared shitless. I look in the big room and I see all these numbers and I'm like, oh, there's more than 5 people in here, Charlotte. Ooh. And then Charlotte almost fell off the stage because there's a gap.
For real?
Yes, there's a gap between the stage and the wall. And, she's short. They probably wouldn't have noticed. But, yeah, she almost fell off the stage. She's going to kill me for saying that.
Oh, wow.
But, yeah. Anyway, but we're looking. We're also looking at I want to do one, Education Beyond the Center.
Yeah.
I think it helps my mental health here, kind of gets me out. That's one of the reasons I do it, is it helps me remind me why I come in here and listen to the craziness that we hear on the radio and on the phones, going out in the public, doing the 911 Kids Expo, seeing all the kids come and learn about 911. It's not a touch a truck event. It's a 911. Each department, I assign them a task. So they have to teach. They can't just hand out free shit. They have to teach them something, and the kids have to learn it before they get the free whatever, squishy or
I dig that.
Whatever. It's like, one of them's like, what is this an emergency? Another table is stop the bleed, CPR. They actually get to see what it looks like and put hands on the chest. EpiPen instructions, they get to learn how to use the EpiPen. So literally every emergency EMA comes out and they learn what to put in an emergency pack in case they need to like the floods that just happened. Imagine
Right.
just trying to grab what you can. So every table has a specific task. So fire
Dang.
gets mad because they're not allowed to bring their truck. I'm like, I don't care about your fire truck. You have touch a truck in a month.
Right. Yeah.
They can come climb all over your truck all they want
Exactly.
in a month. Here, you're going to teach them how to stop, drop, and roll. That's what you're going to do.
That.
In our little parking lot out front. You see our little parking lot, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's where we have it.
That's where everything is.
That's where everything is.
Oh, no way.
So we open up our gated parking for the public,
Yeah.
but that we close off. Command center shuts off the end there. We have school bus safety, so we have the safety bus here. So that's all vendors, and then they get to come. They do the fingerprinting cards in case they go missing. They get to do a tour up here. But yeah, that little bitty parking
Dang.
lot. Hence
I
why the
love-
fire truck doesn't come.
Yeah. That makes perfect sense. I love everything that you're doing and continue to be doing. And I guess for anyone who's listening, how can they get a hold of you for not only this class, but actually before this part, I have to ask you this first. How important is it for centers, and I guess even in any profession, the way you're talking and with this class specifically, for the different colors and stuff, I guess to really understand the personalities and how people work together?
One, I think it's retention. My first presentation I ever did was about burnout, beating burnout, because there were so many personalities and we just clashed. There was no understanding from our management, and it's not the current management. This is completely different management. I was ready. If I was ready to quit, I know, people don't always think about it. Suicide is huge. I was in a place where I got such anxiety pulling into the parking lot, and we've got to we've got to have that retention within our centers, but we can't if we don't learn how to talk to each other. Sure, they say, oh yeah, but when shit hits the fan, we all support each other. We should support each other even when the shit's not hitting the fan.
True. Yes.
We want people to want to be here. We want people to want to come back. We want people to refer people. You can buy all the freaking coffee machines and popcorn machines you want. But when I walk out on the floor with my coffee and my popcorn, if I hate the people I'm working with, that coffee and popcorn doesn't do me any good. So, even if it's changing one person at a time. It used to be Theresa. Nobody wanted to sit with Theresa. I'm like the easiest CTO out there. I hear other CTOs and I listen. I'm like, oh, I wouldn't have addressed it like that. But, each of us are different, and that's
Right.
what makes us unique. But it's the people that aren't CTOs that are going to be dooming us too. It's not just the CTOs can't be held accountable. It's that whole floor. We're all accountable for letting people how they feel when they come on the floor.
That makes a lot of sense.
I just had a conversation with one this morning, and I was talking to her, and I was like, you ain't got to tell me, but I just want to see what's going on with your training. And she was just very open with me. I'm not on peer support. I don't need a title to be peer support. But I know I sat with her the first day she did her call take training. And I remember how nervous she was that day, and hearing her talk about how her struggles on the radio are. And I said, okay, but you remember when we sat at the backup center your day one? And she's like, yeah. I said, you told me the same shit that you're telling me right now about the radios. And look at you on the phones. You're awesome on the phones. You got to start somewhere. So and I didn't have to do that, but I need people. I want people to be here.
Right. Yeah.
So.
That type of understanding and communication is what it's all about.
Mhm.
And that is going to help people actually want to stay.
Yeah.
Because they're in an environment where people actually give a shit. Where
Yeah.
people actually care. So thank you for what you're doing and everything.
Sorry, I told her nobody believed her if she told anybody that I came and talked to her.
Yeah.
I got like a reputation up. Like, Theresa came to you? Like, I do more than people think.
So as always, It's fun to have you on, and I'm glad we got to do this because we were going to record in September, and I was everywhere from September up until now. I've got 2 more trips left, and then that'll be last for traveling. But I'm glad that we ended up being able to do it here because we're doing it live and in person. So this was really good. So for anyone who is listening, how can they get a hold of you for any information, whether it is teaching some of the classes that you have or especially for more stuff that you have going on with Turbo?
So I know that I was on one of the Facebook pages. They wanted I have a whole layout that I'm going to share for the Kids Expo. But you can either reach me through my rescue, which is probably easier because my last name is horrible. Not for long, but it's horrible. So Scaly Addictions, but Scaly is with the E, SCALEY Addictions on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, whatever. I have a layout for the Kids Expo. Me and Charlotte, we do still work on the floor, so we can work out whatever we need to. We like to get out of Georgia, but we do it in Georgia too. We haven't done Alabama yet. We've done Tennessee, Virginia. We've done it 4 times. I don't remember all where. But anyway, it runs together after a while.
Of course. Yes, it always does. Yeah.
But yeah, we'd love to come talk to anybody about it. Just seeing it click, especially a red and the opposite, she's a blue, presenting it, it gives it both different versions of it, different point of views of how we see it. So
yeah, I like that.
But yeah, just message me on there. I'm the only one on those. It's my rescue. So, or if they really, really wanted to, they could find me through the rescue page. My long name, it starts with a C and ends with an O. It's all 11 letters. I'm sure you'll have it somewhere. So
I will make sure to put it out there.
There you go. You can learn how to spell it because
yes,
it's a long name.
Well, thank you again. Yes. I appreciate it very much.
Thank you for my monster. He didn't tell you. He bribed me with a monster to do this.
Wow.
I'm just kidding.
She said she needed some caffeine.
I did. Yeah. It was early morning.
Yeah, I hooked her up. So for those who are listening, if you have any comments or questions or you ever want to be a guest on the show, you can email us, and that's going to be wttpodcast@gmail.com. Easiest way to do all of this is to simply go to links. That's links with 2i's.co/WTT podcast. You'll find my email there, social media, where to be on an episode, where to hear the latest episode as well, and then where to purchase Imagine Listening Volume 2, Imagine Listening Volume 1. My version is going to be coming out December 2024, so make sure to look out for that. This episode has been sponsored by InDigital, Leader Next Gen Core Services. You can see this on Facebook, YouTube, as well as LinkedIn Live and X, and then you can listen 24/7 on Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, your favorite podcasting app, and withinthetrenches.net. Have a good one, everyone, and we will see you all in the next one.
You just listened to a Code 7 Network podcast. If you have any questions or would like to be a guest on the show, send an email to wttpodcast@gmail.com.